Hello again, fellow podcaster, and welcome back to Pod Theory. I'm your host, Jason Cercone, and today I'm answering the question, will podcast ads ever be bigger than Super Bowl ads? As today's installment of Pod Theory goes live, we are just a few days away from Super Bowl 55 between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Kansas City Chiefs. It's the storybook finale the NFL had to be clamoring for after a crazy season dealing with the coronavirus. Brady versus Mahomes, the wily veteran against the young rising star. One of the best, maybe the best, to ever play his position, squaring off against the guy who could very well pass him by in another 15 seasons or so. It's definitely going to be a great game. But me, I'll be rooting for my squares to hit, but that's another story. Throughout the years, the Super Bowl has been the grandest stage of them all for the NFL. But just as much, the spotlight has brightly shined on companies who invested millions of dollars for a few seconds of advertising time, beaming live into the homes of viewers worldwide in what is typically the most watched and highest rated television program of the entire year. Beer companies like Coors and Anheuser-Busch and Miller always make a big splash during this time, as do brands like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Doritos, various car companies, and many, many more. Because of the investment, these ads are typically when all the creative bullets are fired, and no expense is spared in putting together the best ad of the day. These ads used to be so entertaining that people who didn't know the difference between a clothesline and a goal line would watch just to be entertained by the commercials. As a lifelong football fan, that's just crazy to me, but unquestionably, these brands knew how to use those precious seconds to bring attention to their cause. But that was then, and now it's 2021. The advertising space has completely changed. We now live in a world where the networks and websites we utilize the most in our day-to-day activities, and I'm talking Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Google, service ads anytime we access the platform. Facebook and Instagram are now so ad strong that you can't scroll more than 3 to 4 posts on your feed or in your IG stories without an ad crossing your path. But the tricky part about these ads is they don't really feel like ads. The artificial intelligence operating these networks has gotten to understand what we respond to so well, the ads they serve us seem like just another post we'd want to see as we invest our time on these platforms. When a commercial comes on during the Super Bowl, you know it's a commercial. So whether it's entertaining or not, there's no mistaking what's in front of you. As we push more and more into 2021, the rise of podcast advertising continues its ascent. If you go back to episode 74 of Pod Theory, one of the big trends I said to keep an eye on this year was the rise of podcast advertising revenue. 2020 looked like it was going to be the year where ad spend would break $1 billion, and it probably would have if it weren't for the pandemic. And before this new year started, Wondery founder Hernan Lopez predicted we will surpass 120 million monthly podcast listeners over the age of 12 in the year 2021. With more attention being put on the podcast space, the interest of advertisers is piqued. And it makes sense because podcast listeners have proven they respond to ads and calls to action that they hear on podcasts, to the tune of over 70% taking action. So that leads to our question of the day. Will podcast ads ever be as big as Super Bowl ads? I say absolutely, a resounding yes. Maybe they won't blow the budget that companies do when creating their Super Bowl ads, but the impact a podcast ad has on a listener's buying decision versus a Super Bowl ad is going to win the battle. And at the end of the day, advertisers are going to invest their ad spend where it will be most successful. Why jettison millions and millions of dollars at 30 seconds during the Super Bowl, which this year it's $5.6 million for 30 seconds during the Super Bowl, according to the DraftKings Nation website, to a non-targeted crowd when you can spend a fraction of that to reach a targeted niche demographic that's listening to a specific podcast for a specific reason? This year, it's a little different with the pandemic still raging on, but companies that have done Super Bowl ads for decades will not be showcasing their wares during this game. Well, kinda. Anheuser-Busch said they'll not be advertising and instead will be allocating their advertising funds to the Ad Council to help raise education and public awareness for the COVID-19 vaccination effort. That's great. This is going to be the first time in 37 years that we won't see a Budweiser ad during the game. But, that said, you're still going to see ads from Bud Light, from Bud Light Seltzer, from Michelob Ultra, all of which are under the AB InBev umbrella. So, take that how you will. Coca-Cola and Pepsi also opted out of advertising, but Pepsi is still sponsoring the halftime show. All right. So who knows, maybe this will bring about a major swing in how Super Bowl ads get utilized. I mean, $5.6 million for 30 seconds of airtime is already geared towards big brands as it is. But maybe they'll decide to do things differently after this year as well. We've already seen changes as it is, with some companies rolling out their Super Bowl ads ahead of time on their social media platforms. What a great way to get people over to your page, right? Give them the ad they were going to watch early, because why wait when you don't have to? I'm sure Super Bowl commercials will continue to be a thing for years and years to come. Again, that price per 30 seconds already lends itself to the companies sporting massive ad budgets. But with podcasts continuing to grow in popularity, the advertising segment of this space is continuing to evolve, and it gives brands more of an opportunity to appeal to their niche audience instead of millions and millions of people who may not be paying attention because they're talking with friends at their Super Bowl party, or they're like me, they're checking their squares to see if any cash wins are taking place. Will podcasts ever be as big as Super Bowl ads? For what they accomplish, I believe they already are. But you be the judge. And that will do it for today's commentary on Pod Theory. If you plan to watch the Super Bowl, enjoy the game, enjoy the commercials, enjoy your time with family and friends, please do it safely. And, as it was last year, and as it looks like it will be for many, many years to come, this one's from my late uncle, who I know would be loving every second of this if he were still with us. Go Chiefs! Before I wrap up today, it's time for another installment of Pod Deck Pandemonium. That's right, this is where I pull a card from the deck of one of my pod decks, read it, and answer the question live on the air. In case you didn't know, Pod Decks is a proud sponsor of Pod Theory, and I love having these cards at my disposal. They make for a great segment in episode 90, which you can check out when that episode goes live. And soon, I'll be doing some videos on my YouTube channel featuring these decks as well. If you haven't been paying attention, pod decks are a fantastic sidekick for any podcaster. Each deck has a series of questions and thoughts to generate real, genuine conversation on your podcast. If you're stumped for questions to ask your guest or want to add a fun segment or two to your show, you should have pod decks by your side. And today, as a loyal listener of Pod Theory, I've got an offer for you. Visit poddex.com and discover all the offerings they have available. When you make your purchase, use promo code PODTHEORY at checkout and save 10% on your order. That's right, 10% just for you back in your pocket. This offer is available on physical pod decks only, not on their app, which you should absolutely check out as well. But save 10% on the physical decks using promo code PODTHEORY when you visit poddex.com. That's PODDECKS.com. For today's Pod Deck Pandemonium, I'll be pulling a card from the second edition interview deck. I shuffled these up prior to recording, but I haven't looked at the top card yet. And I'm being honest when I say that. I'm not staging this segment at all in case you're in an accusatory mode or something. Here we go. Today's card reads, what is the dumbest way you've been injured? That's easy. Back when I think I was like 7 or 8, I was at the public swimming pool with my friends, and we were screwing around, just, having fun like we did all the time. And I jumped into the pool, and I don't know how I missed it, but this girl of probably about the same age swam in front of me, and as she did, my chin hit her forehead, and it cracked my chin open, and I had to go to the hospital and get stitches. That was the first time that I had to get stitches, and that was probably the dumbest way I ever had to get stitches in my life. So, yeah, there you go. So, when you're jumping into a swimming pool, make sure you look both ways. So that's it. That's Pod Deck Pandemonium for today. Again, jump over to poddex.com, check out what they have to offer, and save 10% using promo code PodTheory when you check out. That's it for today. I'll see you back here tomorrow. This has been Jason Cercone on Pod Theory.